Everybody, and welcome to episode number 23 of The Kickabout with me, Chris, and with me, as always, is Dan and Fran.
Hello.
Hi.
Right, so plenty to talk about as the Premier League returns this weekend. Of course, we've had some midweek games as well, which we, unlike the Christmas break where we had some extra shows, we've decided not to include any extra shows. We can just talk about them. If there's anything big to talk about, we can cover them in the usual Monday night's recording. So without further ado, let's get into our transfer window roundup. So Dan, why don't you talk us through some of the deals and rumours?
Not a lot of exciting done deals, but Danny Drinkwater's left Chelsea to go to Turkey to a team, to be honest, I've never really heard of. Kasim Pasa, if that's how you pronounce it.
I mean, I can't even confirm or deny that that's even a team, so I'm not going to correct you on your pronunciation. Yeah, I mean, it's a sad one for Drinkwater, isn't it? Like, his career path has just gone so downhill.
I was going to say, how would you sum up his time at Chelsea?
I didn't know.
I was going to say, I think you'd be forgiven for not knowing he was at Chelsea.
I didn't know he was at Chelsea.
Well, he had, 2 loan spells? Because he was at Burnley and did he go to Villa briefly? I can't remember. I think he went to two clubs on loan.
I think Chelsea signed him for like 35 million as well.
Yeah, it was. I mean, at the time, obviously, he was playing so well. Obviously, they'd already signed. Was he the first one they signed, and then they signed Kante afterwards, or was it the other way around? I can't remember.
I can't remember.
But yeah, obviously, Kante has settled in and become a fairly integral part of the team over the last few years. But yeah, for Drinkwater, I mean, I know we joked about it the other week, but it was summed up when he played for that under-19s or under-23s game and absolutely hammered this kid off the park, got himself sent off. And yeah, maybe he's going to Turkey to lie low. Maybe he's like getting death threats from the kid's family or something.
Moving on, Max Meyer, or Meyer, I'm not sure how to pronounce him either, the German from Crystal Palace, has left on a free. And this one kind of made me laugh because I saw a report saying hopefully they didn't ask Wayne Hennessy to wave him off. If you get that at all.
I'm not sure I do.
Because Wayne Hennessy had the whole controversy for doing the sort of Adolf Hitler German.
Oh, I see. Okay. Yeah, I get it now. Yeah, Max Mayer's a funny one as well because he came in with quite a big reputation. It was considered quite a coup at the time for Palace to get him, and I think he started pretty well. But yeah, just not worked out. But Football Manager tells me he was a good player once upon a time. So
yeah, I think he was like a sort of wonder kid at one point, wasn't he?
Yeah, Football Manager's usually pretty accurate with these things. So yeah.
Moving on.
Did you say where he went?
No, he hasn't gone to any particular club. I think he's just left Palace.
Oh, I see. He's just been released. Okay.
Yeah. Samani has gone from Leicester to Lyon on a free.
Yeah, I'm assuming this is to replace Dembele, who's gone from Lyon to Atletico Madrid on loan, I think. I mean, replacing Dembele with Slimani seems a bit of a downgrade to me, but who knows?
Well, those players do seem to do a lot better. Those sort of players do better abroad, don't they? And especially in the Farmers League, as we call it.
There's a lot of Farmers League. I think the only one that's not a Farmers League is the English Premier League, as far as we're concerned.
Manchester United's Timothy Fosu-Mensah has moved to Bayer Leverkusen for 1.8 million. Quite cheap.
Yeah, how do you feel about that? Because he had some good games for you.
Yeah, I don't know. He's one of those, I mean, he's not young. He's like 23, 24 now. I think he's just one of those players that's always been around but never really been given a chance. He's every year he was out on loan.
Yeah, I think it's probably a good move, but I think 1.8 million probably tells you everything you need to know about what Man United thought of his potential at the club.
Yeah, his contract was up at the end of the season, so I imagine that's why they just took whatever they could get.
Yeah, fair enough.
And finally, before I move on to the rumours, Jack Wilshere has moved to Bournemouth on a free.
Yeah, so I saw this one. I think he's actually been training with them for the last few weeks, sort of just trying to keep his fitness up. And I think he's obviously been impressing them there. I mean, I kind of want him to do well because we know there's a good player underneath there somewhere. But it's just, it's never about whether he's got the ability. It's about whether he can stay fit.
Yeah, unfortunately, he's just one of those players that constantly gets injured, isn't he? He must, when he's eventually retires, I'm sure he'll look back on his career and sort of be really gutted that he's not done as well as he could have done.
Yeah, I think Bournemouth's a good move. I mean, it's only a short-term deal. Bournemouth, they're doing well in the Championship. So if he's going into a side full of confidence, maybe that will, help get him back to his best. So yeah, we'll keep an eye on that one, see how he does, and hopefully he can get back to something near his best and be back in the Premier League.
And for the main rumours for the window so far, Mesut Ozil is close to joining Fenerbahce on a free transfer after Arsenal are close to sort of cancelling his contract. And apparently it's always been his dream to join them.
Oh, has it? Has it really? Because every young player growing up wants to play for Fenerbahce, don't they?
Yeah, from a player that used to play for Real Madrid, his dream is to play for Fenerbahce.
That's amazing.
That's bullshit.
Yeah, I think I'm calling bullshit on that one as well.
What do you make of his time at Arsenal then?
Very much. It's been a sad end, that's for damn sure. But I think that overall, I think it's important to remember what he did on the pitch. And at times he was absolutely outstanding for them, especially in the first couple of seasons. And I think I don't know whether, obviously something's going on behind the scenes. We talked about this before, but it does seem a real shame to have somebody like him and a little bit like Bale during his time at Real Madrid. It just seems like such a waste to have a player of his quality not doing anything, and the player seemingly happy to kind of sit there and not try and force a move to go and play football. So, yeah, it'd be interesting to see. I mean, obviously, not that we cover the Turkish league on this podcast, but it would be interesting to see whether or not he is able to get anywhere near the level he was at a few years ago for Arsenal, or whether it's going to be, because the Gareth Bale experiment's not really working out at the moment for Spurs. So I wonder whether there's this, he's been on the sidelines for too long and maybe it just doesn't work for him.
I mean, I think it'll be a good addition to Fenerbahce, to be honest. Be a lot of shirt sales.
I mean, there's every chance that, they're thinking of themselves, well, if he doesn't play that well and all that, the amount of money they'll make on merchandise and stuff, it's probably a worthwhile deal for them. I mean, look at what Ronaldo did when he went to Juventus. I think he went there for like 90 million and they made half of that back on day one shirt sales. Yeah. So, yeah, I think it's a good move for him.
Next rumour is, I mean, this one's quite widely known, but Christian Eriksen is very keen on rejoining Spurs after he was put on the transfer list by Inter Milan.
I'm keen. I'm game.
You're game for it.
I like him.
He's a good player. I'm surprised it hasn't worked out at Inter, actually.
Yeah, me too. Do you not think there's a little bit of, he was, I wouldn't say he was massively vocal about leaving Spurs, but I don't know whether he left on the best of terms. I know it was a previous manager, but do you think that he'll be welcomed back by the Spurs fans, Fran?
I thought Mourinho was there.
I think it was Pochettino.
Yeah, I think it was. Right now, I think it was Mourinho.
It was Mourinho.
Was it? Okay.
Yeah.
Because it was Mourinho's first season and he'd only been there like a month or two.
Right, okay. Well, I mean, I guess if Mourinho hadn't been there long, maybe it was a case of that Eriksen just sort of said, I would like to go. Mourinho just sort of said, fine, go and I'll play him without you.
He already wanted to leave when Pochettino was there.
Yeah.
And they were sort of in the process of trying to sell him, but obviously then Pochettino got sacked and Mourinho couldn't convince him to stay. So it's not like he fell out with Mourinho, to be honest.
I think he just got it in his head that he wanted to go. And plus, they weren't doing well at that point, were they?
No.
He's probably seen they're doing all right now and wants to come back.
Yeah. It'd be, I mean, I don't know whether he's a Mourinho player. Mourinho likes really hard-working, disciplined players, and I'm not sure that Eriksen is one of those.
Yeah. I don't know.
And my final rumour, which I really hope happens,
who's coming to United?
No, not coming to United, leaving United. Jesse Lingard being linked with Sheffield United.
Well, I mean, Sheffield United, they're getting a player with bags of potential and years of improvement to come, aren't they?
Often compared with Lionel Messi himself.
Yeah. I mean, why wouldn't you with the CV like his? I mean, it's only natural to compare him to those sorts of players. On a serious note, I mean, he has had good moments in his career in the past under different managers. He's even played well for England on occasions. I appreciate there's lots of banter around him, and for the likes of Phil Jones as well. But I think that a fresh chance with potential of 90 minutes every week will do him good. Whether Sheffield United is the place to go and express yourself, I'm not sure. But
I don't think so. Sheffield have the sort of quality to showcase. I mean, Lingard, I joke around Lingard. He's good enough to be a mid-table team, I think. He's better than Sheffield United. And I feel like a team like Sheffield United is not really going to be on the ball too much because most of the time they're going to be defending.
Yeah, and even when they get the ball, they're a very direct team, and obviously Lingard is much more of a ball player. So, I'm not sure. I think, as I agree with you, I think maybe a side like an Everton or maybe, dare I say it, West Ham might even suit him. Whether I'd want him or not is another question because of the players that we've got in that play in his position. But those sorts of teams, I think he would go there. He would improve, and he probably would improve the team as well.
Yeah, definitely. And that's your roundup. Not any sort of big signings, unfortunately. A lot of freebies and a lot of rumours, but nothing exciting.
Should we talk briefly about the fact that I'm not at all annoyed that Sebastian Haller scored 7 minutes into his debut for Ajax?
You haven't mentioned it, Chris, so
I'm not going to lie, it really annoyed me. I watched. I heard. I think Dan messaged. I think you messaged me actually and told me that it had happened. And I went onto YouTube and managed to find the highlights of the game and also the game before where he came on as a sub. He just looks like a different player. Like the hunger and desire from him is incredible. I mean, he looks like the player at Ajax that I think West Ham thought they were buying from Frankfurt. And it's very frustrating that we never saw that. But good luck to him. I mean, he's playing he will be playing in the Champions League, so he will be playing a higher standard than he would have done at West Ham. So yeah, good luck to him. But fuck him.
The best we can hope for is that West Ham was smart enough to put like a sell-on clause in, and that if he carries on scoring for Ajax, I wouldn't be surprised if they then sold him for 50 odd million to a bigger club. So
I think I think you're affording a level of intelligence on our owners that is a bit generous. Our owners in the last 2 weeks have sold a striker for 20 million that we bought for 45 and then appointed a former porn star to our board of directors. So let's leave that conversation there, I think. Right, time for this. Down the stat, man.
Still love it.
I still can't get over the fucking porn star thing. I can't believe this has happened. Only West Ham would do something like that, honestly.
Right. So my stat this week was kindly given to me by Pete, who messaged me before the show and said he had a stat for me, and it is quite a good stat. So
is he angling for a job?
Yeah. And before I'd read it, I thought, oh, here we go. He's managed to somehow get Portsmouth on the show, but it isn't. I'll let him off. So across the sort of professional top 4 English leagues, only 2 teams are yet to be beaten away from home this season. And I'll give you a clue. One of them is a Premier League team, and the other one used to be a Premier League team.
Okay. I think I know the Premier League team, but I'm not sure I know what the Championship or another team in the English League is. But as always, we will cover that later on. So let's get into the main part of the show. We talk about some Premier League games. Let's talk the big one from the weekend, which turned out to be a little bit of a damp squid. That was Liverpool against Manchester United. Man United unable to breach Liverpool's home record, which now stands at an incredible 68 matches unbeaten at home. But they remain 3 points ahead of Liverpool, who now find themselves in 4th as as this crazy season continues and the table is as close as it is, Liverpool are now in 4th place. An intriguing encounter, I think you'd say. I don't we go far to say it was a completely boring one because there were some good chances, but probably not what everyone was expecting.
I think it was quite a tactical game. Like, I think both managers went out there again trying not to lose and trying to sort of nick a winner. I mean, Liverpool definitely played it around the park better. But at the same time, I would say United had the more clear-cut chances.
I mean, for me, when I looked at the game in the lead up to, I mean, at this point, I didn't know that Klopp was going to drop Henderson into defence along with Fabinho. Both teams, you would argue, have much stronger attacking lineups than they do defensively, especially Liverpool right now because of the fact they've got the injury crisis to their central defence area. But yeah, the quality just wasn't there, was it? I mean, look at some of the chances that Manchester United, for example, had in that second half. We had one or two fairly clear-cut chances and they were either missed or put straight at the keeper. Not taking anything away from Alisson because he made some great saves, but on another day, you'd expect players of those qualities to be burying those chances.
Yeah, for me, like, United were quite clearly trying to sit back, soak up the pressure, and then counter like we do pretty much every game. But it was, Rashford kept getting caught offside. Martial couldn't really do much with the ball. We were playing Pogba on the right wing, which shows how short we are in that position. Fernandes didn't have a good game. And then you had Liverpool who were passing the ball around like it was a training drill. But then as soon as it got sort of anywhere near our box, they just sort of didn't really know what to do with it. They're almost trying to walk it in.
Who would you say is happier after this result?
Well, personally, I would say United. I think being top of the league, and that result obviously keeps them top of the league. I feel like Liverpool, one, being at home, and two, obviously trying to chase that top spot. I think Liverpool would be the more unhappier of the two teams.
Yeah, I think I'd agree with that. I feel like for both teams, as we said, it was important to not lose. There were, for differing reasons, Liverpool obviously are not in the best of places right now in terms of their recent results and their scoring record, which we'll touch on in a moment. But for Manchester United, obviously there was so much talk before the game about whether they were, real contenders for the league. And I would say after this game, we probably don't know anything now after that Liverpool game than we didn't already know before the game. We didn't really see anything from United that sort of answered that question one way or the other, really.
No. Yeah, it was just.
Do you feel they're contenders? Do you think that they've got a serious title challenge in them?
I don't know. There's still a very long way to go. I mean, if you'd have said to me at the beginning of the season that halfway through the season United would be top, I'd have laughed in your face. So I mean, I won't be disheartened if we start to fall away. I mean, I think our target is still to finish top 4, and then we just hopefully build on it. But it's one of those seasons where anything could happen. I wouldn't, at the same time, I could see us winning the league just because everybody else seems to be stuttering so much.
Yeah. Do you think Solskjaer was in the wrong with this one? I mean, as you mentioned, we know that he tends to set up against the top 6 or the what you would class as the old school big 6. He does tend to set up quite defensively. He likes to play on the counter. But with Liverpool in the kind of vein of form that they're in with the injuries they have, do you think that Ollie showed a little bit of, I don't know how to put this politely, like naivety maybe is the word, that, maybe he didn't go for this a bit more than he did? Because I think back to the Chelsea games, it was almost the same in that Chelsea game.
Yeah, I think the problem is if you have a manager like Klopp or Guardiola, I think they go out to attack every game and they want to win every game. Whereas I do feel Solskjaer went out in that game not necessarily trying to win, but trying not to lose, which I think he does a lot in the big games.
Yeah. And I mean, their record against the top six this season isn't very good. And I think if they are serious contenders, I think they do need to change that in the second half of the season when they play the reverse fixtures of a lot of these games.
I think the way we lined up, we started with a back 4, and then our 2 players in front of the centre-backs are both CDM, so already it's very defensive. And then you've got Pogba on the right wing, who's, he's got no pace. He's not a winger at all. and his coach just couldn't create anything out on the wing. So therefore, that's another position where we've got nothing. And it was just it was just bad, to be honest. But at the same time, I'm happy with the point, and I'd have taken the point at the start. So, and a clean.
Yeah, very much so. I think, one player, we've talked a lot about Pogba on this show, but he is just finding a little bit of form in recent games. He had a good game against Burnley, and, when the game was close on a cold night in Burnley, he turned up. So I'm just wondering, do we need to appreciate Mino Raiola's comments about leaving not being about money and finding a way out of the club, but just a genius way of motivating? Should we be lauding Raiola as a motivational genius?
No.
No, but in all seriousness, Pogba has improved in his last few games. Credit where credit's due. Should have scored in this Liverpool game, but yeah, it's positive from United's point of view to see Pogba improving in form. It's a shame that it's taken United improving and being top of the league to start seeing that, but it's still a positive nonetheless.
I
think that's the problem.
What do we mean he's improved in? Because everyone knows he's a good player. Like, I wouldn't say he's improved. I'd just say he's suddenly realised that, United are doing quite well. I'm going to play well now.
Yeah, I think it's difficult with Pogba because obviously he's expected to be this world-class player, and he's just not performed for United. And every now and again, when he does have a good game or a good run of form, we speak about it. But at the same time, you've got to remember, that's how he should be playing every week.
No, that is absolutely true, and I totally agree with that. But yeah, I think I suppose it stems from the fact that if you look back on his history, this guy's a World Cup winner. He's won trophies with Juventus. So he's not a bad player. There is a world-class player in there. The question has always been attitude, mindset, and consistency. So until he nails those three things on a very regular basis, then I don't think he's ever going to, for me anyway, he's never going to be in that world-class bracket until he can do that on a regular basis. But as I say, we'll see what happens. He has improved recently. Let's see what happens in the next sort of 5-10 games. But one player who is really struggling is Anthony Martial. Never really been touted as a player that needs replacing, but his form has been wildly up and down this season. Do you think United can still get out of him what they want, if that makes sense? Martial came in with quite a big reputation, a big transfer fee. He's had periods where he's been devastating, and then the next minute he just falls off a cliff, and it's almost like he's a passenger on the pitch.
Yeah, the problem is I just don't know where I would play Martial, to be honest. I don't think he's a number 9, and I don't think he's better than Rashford out on the left wing, so I just don't really know where I'd play him.
Yeah, Diallo coming in, is another option out wide. There's a potential that they'll, potentially go back in for Sanchez. Yeah, it's not Sancho. Sorry, in the summer. So, so is there a danger that Martial might find himself being moved along in the summer?
Yeah, definitely. Especially, last season he did quite well, and he got quite a few goals, him and Rashford. But if he can't do it consistently, then they're going to have to start looking at another striker.
And then just touching on the game briefly before we talk about Liverpool and what's going on with them at the moment, there was a little moment of controversy in this game. The referee blowing for half-time 6 seconds, absolute scandalous, before the 1 minute of added time had elapsed. It looked like Mane might be through on goal, but there was still an awful lot to do because he was only just inside United's half. Do we think there's legit argument here from Liverpool about this?
Not really, no. I was surprised when I even said to Fran, he's blown 6 seconds early.
But usually they blow like 20 seconds late.
Yeah, but no, maybe his watch was different to the TV clock, but no, I don't think you can start saying that, Mane would have scored, Mane could have scored. It's a bit like when those sort of fouls happen. I don't like it, when like a foul happens and then 10 minutes later they score and they're like, if that foul had been given as a free kick, they wouldn't have scored that. Like,
I know what you mean.
5-10 minutes ago. I know
for me, I've always been of the opinion that if you're whinging so hard about that one moment where there's absolutely no guarantee that you're going to go and score from that.
No.
You know, you got Aaron Wan-Bissaka, who's rapid, chasing Mane. There's every chance Wan-Bissaka could get back at him. And, you know, he's got almost half the length of the pitch to run. If you're blaming that one moment and saying that that was one of the reasons why you didn't get anything from this game, then I don't think you deserved anything from it.
And it's not like the only time Mane was through clear on goal. You know, a couple of times they got through and they did nothing with it. So going
Exactly.
on the base game, I assume he probably wouldn't have scored it, to be honest.
Yeah, and they had far more clear-cut chances, which they squandered. So they should be looking at themselves for wasting those chances rather than blaming the referee for blowing up 6 seconds before half-time. But anyway, I mean, after this game, where do you feel Liverpool are right now? I mean, they're struggling for goals massively, which is something that we haven't said about a Liverpool team for probably 2 or 3 seasons now.
Yeah, I think it's weird because people are saying like, oh, are they missing Jota, et cetera, but I mean, they've got, you know, their famous front three. It's not like they're missing 2 of the 3. Yeah. The only thing they're missing are their 2 centre-backs, really. So I do find it weird that they're not scoring goals.
They're not even doing that badly defensively, are they? It's just...
No, and they've got Thiago now who can pick a pass, and if anything, you'd think they'd be scoring more goals than before.
Yeah, there was a little suggestion. I don't know. Don't quote me on this because I haven't actually seen it replicated in any of them, sort of the more mainstream sports outlets. But I did see some quotes from Klopp bemoaning the fact that United, you know, just defended and tried to catch them on the counter.
He did say that.
Oh, he did. Okay, so this is not the first time that Klopp has said this. You know, he has winced about this in the past. But you know, you can't be a one-trick pony. You know, we've criticised other managers in the past for only having a plan A. If you can't break a team down with the players that you've got at your disposal, you know, you can't blame the other team for playing a certain way. And you know, I think that
quickly on that, I don't really understand what Klopp's expecting. Is he expecting teams to go to Anfield and go all out attack against a strong attacking Liverpool team?
Yeah,
no team going to do that. They're going to
exactly
counter.
Yeah, I mean, they haven't lost at home in, you know, probably 3 odd years now, if you count across the seasons. So, you know, there's a reason teams are a little bit frightened to go there, is because you've made it a fortress. You've made it, you know, a scary place to go and play football. So, I mean, we know Klopp is a very sore loser, so he might have just been sort of venting and saying the first shit that comes into his head. So, but yeah, I mean, obviously Jota is out. Can you see them dipping into the transfer market, or do you think this is just a phase and sooner or later, a bit like Man City, they'll come through it and they'll start banging in the goals again?
Yeah, no, I don't think Liverpool aren't really the kind of team that just dip in for a like sporadic player. To be honest, they're quite clever with their transfers, and they put a lot of planning into them. So I don't think they'll get someone just to cover for injuries.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Let's move on then. Let's talk about Sheffield United against Spurs. So in the time we were off last week, they did it, guys. They got their first win. They did it. Feeling on top of the world, confidence is back and flowing through, and then Spurs show up and put them to the sword. There was some eye-catching goals in this game. I mean, you know, in particular, a goal of the season contender from Ndombele.
Oh, it was beautiful.
It was really nice.
Very smooth.
I don't really. I mean, how impressed have you been with him this season? I mean, given the journey he's been through with Spurs, and I guess Mourinho in particular, who has been pretty outspoken about him at times, to say the least, it's quite astonishing actually how it's turned around and he's become quite an integral player to Spurs' side now.
I think that's the reaction that Mourinho looks for when he gives, you know, the players
loves it, doesn't he?
His, I mean, I'll call it hairdryer treatment. I think that's what he wants. That's the reaction he wants from Dele Alli, but it's gone the other way for Dele Alli.
Yeah, in the same way they did with Luke Shaw as well.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but no, he's turning into a really integral player in that team, and I love the way he retains possession. I think he's got a wonderful first touch, and he's looking like a real player now. I mean, this was an important game for Spurs. They had a disappointing midweek draw against Fulham last week, where they obviously dropped a couple of points. So has this recent form, do we think, this sort of sporadic form, has this shown that Spurs probably aren't title contenders at the moment?
Yeah.
No.
As in what? They are or they aren't?
They are.
Oh, right.
Of course they are.
Okay, well, we know where Fran sees them in the pecking order, but where do you see them in the pecking order, Dan?
No, I think they'll be challenging for top 4. I don't think they'll be challenging for the title. But with that, those front two of Kane and Son, then definitely anything's possible.
Yeah, I think if Spurs were to get top four and Mourinho was to win the League Cup, for example, the Carabao Cup, I think that would be a very, very good season for Spurs.
Yeah, definitely.
I did get a joke. I'm going to say it. I probably shouldn't, but I'm going to say. So I got sent a joke this week.
Don't tell me about the dog.
No. Okay. So Harry Redknapp gets a letter delivered to his house, and he opens it. And it's an electricity bill for £17,000 that's been forwarded on from Tottenham Hotspur Football Club. So he rings up the club and he says, "I think there's been a mistake. You've sent me a bill, and I haven't worked for you for years." "No, Harry, sorry, there's no mistake. You were the last person in the trophy room in 2008, and you left the fucking lights on." So I went back to Lee that sent that through, and I said, "Jesus Christ, what would West Ham's bill? We haven't won a major trophy in 40 years. What would our bloody bill be if that was if that was true with us?"
The joke I thought you were going to say, I saw it. I thought it was awful. It was like Tottenham Hotspur's players have been banned from owning dogs because they can't hold a lead.
That's so bad. Oh dear. Anyway, let's move on to Sheffield United. Obviously, they got that huge win against Newcastle midweek. They looked okay in periods in this game. They got it back to 2-1, and there just was a glimmer of hope that they might have been able to sneak a point in this one. But more positives than negatives for a change for them.
Yeah, I mean, conceding a goal 5 minutes into the game doesn't really help.
No, it doesn't. But I mean, that it would have been very easy for them to, especially when they went 2-0 down as well. It would have been very easy for them to just kind of heads down and go, "Oh, here we go again," and all those kind of negative thoughts come back into their head after a poor season so far. But to their credit, they kept going, and they need to keep doing that.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I just think, do you think in their heads they're still confident they can escape relegation, or do you think they're just going through the gears now?
Well, this is the thing, because I when I was writing the notes, I very, very nearly put, something about, do you see them surviving? But I thought to myself, we've been so confident that they are going down up until that win. And let's be honest, Newcastle are an absolute fucking shit show at the moment. So I don't think that a 1-0 win, and bearing in mind it was only a penalty they scored as well, I don't think a 1-0 win against Newcastle should be suddenly lauded as this turning point in their season. I mean, maybe it will be, who knows? But, they've got Man United and Man City next in the next two games. Wow. So, and then they've got West Brom, obviously they had a big result this weekend. We'll talk about that later. They've got to win that. And then they've got Chelsea after that. So they've got 3 really tough games in the next 4. So if they were to lose all 3 of those, and heavily, even if they pick up a point against West Brom, they're still no really better off than they were.
No, I mean, I'm still not I don't think there's any way that they can stay up. I'm just wondering whether the players believe they can still stay up, or whether they're, just like I say, just going through the gears and playing the rest of the games they've got left.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, looking at them, they look like there's still a little bit of fight in them. I don't think their fight has ever really been in question. They've had some bad games here and there, but for the most part, their fight has been there. It's just been their quality that's been lacking. So, yeah, I hope they don't go back to square one and just go back to losing and they don't win another game for God knows how long. But if they do harbour any ambition of staying up, then they have to pick up maybe a surprise point or two, or even a 3-point against one of those big sides, probably United next game. So, right, we are going to head to a break. When we come back, more Premier League chat. See you in a minute. Hey everyone, and welcome back to the show. So there's no listener segment this week. We just had quite a lot to talk through tonight, so I didn't want to do this segment this week. However, Mr. Pete, who I'm fairly certain is angling for a job on the show, he actually sent a DM into the Facebook page. So Fran, why don't you read out what he sent through?
So Pete said, Wolves, West Brom, not a penalty. How Michael Oliver can give that when the contact was clearly outside the area. Other than that, the game overall was great to watch. Agree? Disagree?
Yeah, I was quite unsure how they gave a penalty. I thought it was outside the box, to be honest.
Yeah, well, this is the thing, isn't it? Like where they say if it's on the line, it's inside the box. But for me, I don't even think it was on the line. I think that it was quite clearly outside the box. So,
what is it, the player or is it the ball?
I don't know. I mean, if it was me, my understanding of the rule, I would say it's contact. So if you've kicked him in the leg, for example, the point of contact is that point of contact outside the box or inside the box. I'm pretty sure it's got nothing to do with the ball.
Right. Okay. Let's see.
No, overall, fantastic game of football. We'll get to that game actually a little bit later on.
Yeah.
Leeds, Brighton, not really much in this game. A lot of chances for Brighton, which was positive to see, and some great fight considering they would be a weak side to face Leeds' tactics. Got it right all afternoon.
Yeah, I would have thought after that thrashing by Crawley, Leeds would have come out all guns blazing and got a result, but 2 bad results in a row for them.
Yeah, and Pete's right. Like the tactics that Brighton play, in theory, Leeds it plays into Leeds' hands a little bit because they're not that great going forward. They keep the ball, but they can be got at. So I was quite surprised when I saw this result. I assumed, like you, Dan, that Leeds were going to come out and there would be a reaction after that Crawley game. But no, I mean, all credit to Brighton. They've they keep grinding out points left, right, and centre, and they're doing a good job at the moment. And for Leeds, I mean, I'm just looking back on their results now. I mean, yes, it's 3 losses on the bounce in all competitions. So it's, just more ups and downs, but we know there's an upcoming at some point for Leeds, I'm sure.
Yeah.
West Ham, Burnley, nothing out of the ordinary, typical Burnley and typical Europa League West Ham.
What a guy. Well, I'm going to give him a job. No, I mean, in all seriousness, it wasn't a great game. Particularly, West Ham dominated it. Burnley really didn't offer a great deal going forwards. West Ham, the only thing that I was talking to you guys about this, the only thing that's missing with West Ham at the moment is just killing a team off. The last 15 minutes where Burnley got a bit more of the ball and started to go quite direct and just got a few half chances. It was nervy because we just didn't kill him off. We had so many chances where we made the wrong decision and shot when we should have passed and vice versa. If we'd have been 2 or 3 up at that point, it wouldn't have been unfair on Burnley because I think we were that dominant, and it wouldn't have made those last 50 minutes so nervy. And Burnley could have easily have just got that one moment of luck or one moment of quality that could have got them a point that they didn't deserve. So as far as Europa League goes, who knows? I mean, we're in the mix. Long way to go yet, but credit where credit due. Moisey's doing a good job. I just hope that we can bring in a striker in the next couple of weeks.
Fulham, Chelsea, Mason Mount is a Pompey boy. That's the tweet. Is he?
I don't know. Is he?
I genuinely don't know that either. We'll have to confirm that, listeners. We'll have to fact check that. But no, I mean, either way, he had a good game and he ended up being the difference, really. I mean, it wasn't.
He's from Portsmouth.
Is he?
He's genuinely from Portsmouth. Wikipedia just said he's from Portsmouth.
Ah, viva la Wikipedia.
He changed it before we went on there.
Yeah. I mean, the game itself wasn't particularly brilliant. It was, Fulham went down to 10 men, which made it a lot harder for them. And yeah, Mason Mount was the difference. He's quite an underrated player at Chelsea as well. I think he's doing a great job there. So, but a good result for Chelsea. They needed a grind out win. So, but not one we're going to talk about, or anybody's going to talk about actually, because I don't think it was a particularly exciting game.
Yeah, I was going to say, if we're not talking about it, did you see Timo Werner at the end?
Oh.
No, I didn't actually. What did he do?
He came off the bench and he went clear through on goal, no defenders around him, and he put it completely wide. What,
horribly wide? Was it really bad or?
I mean, it's not, I wouldn't say it whispered past the post. It went a good metre or 2 wide.
Oh dear. Okay, well, I'll go and check that out, but that sounds very much like summing up all what Werner's doing right now.
Mason Mount's dad was a player and manager of Havant Town.
Very local boy. That's even more local than Pompey.
Yeah.
So local. We're going to be best friends.
I think we need to reach out to him, get him on the show.
Oh my God. Joe would listen again, wouldn't he?
Is that how we get him back? Just have some Chelsea players on the show.
Probably the only Chelsea player that Joe's not effing and cursing at the moment.
Yeah. To be honest, he's probably listening to the show because Chelsea won this week, so he's probably listening and hope that we're talking about him.
And then, obviously Pete being Pete said Leicester scum, but he means Southampton. Bottle job for Southampton, Leicester away isn't for everyone.
It's for West Ham. We beat them 4-0. 3-0 rather, not 4-0. No, I mean, actually, that's a good place to finish because we're about to talk about Leicester Southampton. So thank you, Pete, for sending that in. Let's talk about Leicester v Southampton. In reality, this is a battle for not just Europa League, but the way in which both teams have been playing, and in particular Leicester. This is seen as a slight battle for Champions League places at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, Leicester moved second. Are they still second, or have City overtaken them?
No, City have overtaken. I believe Leicester are now third. Yes, they are.
Yeah, I mean, still, for them to be, fighting for those positions again is good for them.
Yeah, I mean, they're only third on goal difference as well. So, they're having a cracking season. This is only Leicester's fourth home win of the season, which is quite a surprising stats. They've won 7 of their 11 games away from home this year.
Wow. A lot of teams are home, aren't they?
Yeah, I mean, obviously the lack of fans is definitely a factor. Some of the places are not as intimidating to go as they once were, with the exception of Anfield, which just continues to be a fortress, regardless of whether they win or draw. I mean, there's been some talk about social distancing again with obviously what's going on with this new variant of COVID that's super infectious, and we've seen lots of Premier League games or a few Premier League games being called off. And there's been a lot of talk about celebrations and how that they need to be more social distanced. Did you guys see a couple of examples this weekend? Antonio's one for West Ham for one.
Didn't see Antonio's, but saw James Maddison's.
Yeah, so Antonio did a usually traditional weird celebration. I think Declan Rice put him up to, where he laid on the floor and started doing a backstroke. Fuck knows why. But very weird. But that's what Antonio's all about. That's why we love him. But yeah, James Maddison doing some air. You see him like gesture to his players to say, no, stay back. And then he just starts doing like air high fives and air handshakes. So I thought this part of me was like, that's really funny. But at the same time, I'm thinking, you just scored quite a good goal. Like, you should be able to celebrate with your teammates. How do we feel about this? Is it dumb or is it just me?
Oh, I think, so they can line up in a wall and they can all huddle together for corners and free kicks, but now they can't celebrate goals.
No one's telling them they can't celebrate goals. I feel like potentially is it the players putting that pressure on themselves?
No, they are being told they can't celebrate.
Oh, they are?
Yeah.
Well, they're not being told they cannot. They're being encouraged. They're being encouraged to.
Yeah. The government have started saying that, they shouldn't be doing it. And the FA, I think, have started putting out. I mean, they can't stop them from doing it. But yeah, they're like encouraging them not to do it.
I mean, I think it'd be nicer for the public personally, I think it'd be nicer if they didn't do it because it's unfair.
Well, I don't know. I think
they get to see all their
It's tricky
pals.
Because I'm glad football's on, and obviously it's hard not to take that for granted. But with COVID and VAR and stuff, I just feel like everything's being sucked out of football at the moment.
Yeah, but out of like life.
Yeah, I know. I'm not saying that football should carry on no matter what. I'm just saying.
I mean, for me, this is a little bit like the Crawley chat from last week, where the interviews after the game, the Premier League teams are supposed to be in a bubble. That's the whole reason that they're allowed to continue, is that they're supposed to be in their own sort of isolated world, if you like, where there's very little chance of infection spreading into the squad, and if it does get in, it shouldn't spread out of it. So for me, as you've rightly said, Dan, for them to line up in walls, they're, hugging each other at corners and free kicks, and, they're coming into contact with each other during the game, and then they might have a little melee and a little scrap and handbags. They're in the change room after the game, all of this going on, but they can't, high five each other or touch each other on a celebration. It just feels really stupid. If you're telling me there's a real risk of COVID spreading because they're doing a celebration together, then you should just stop football, because that's not the only risk. That's not the only source of the risk when a game of football is going on.
No.
So anyway, let's move on. We're not going to talk about COVID too much tonight. Let's talk about Yuri Thielemans, a quite underrated player. Do you think he's a bit of a Kante at Leicester, just sort of going under the radar a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, there was talks of us signing him last season before he went to Leicester. I think he's a good player. I think the problem with those sort of players, they do go unnoticed because they're just like your silent playmakers, aren't they?
Yeah, I'm trying to think of some players. Some other examples of players, but I mean, when you talk about Leicester, Thielemans is not the player that comes to your mind immediately. You know, you're going to be talking about Vardy, you're going to be talking about Harvey Barnes, James Maddison. Those are the players that would come to the front of your mind when you talk about Leicester and how well they're playing. But yeah, for Thielemans, he's just been superb, and his quality was very much on show again in this game against Southampton.
Yeah, he got 2 assists, I believe, and yeah, they sort of run the game for Leicester. I was umming and ahhing about putting him in my team, but I decided not to in the end. But he definitely would have been my 12th man.
Yeah. I mean, Southampton definitely played their part in what was an entertaining game with Kasper Schmeichel having to make several good saves. So this wasn't, the one-way traffic that perhaps a 2-0 scoreline suggested it might be. Is this just one of those games for Southampton where you sort of shrug your shoulders and move on?
Yeah, but I think they've been quite poor recently, haven't they? It's not just 1 or 2 games. I think they've had a bit of a run now of where they were quite high flying, but not at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, only 1 win in the last 6. They've won 1, drawn 3, and lost 2 in their last 6 games. So certainly not form that would see them back in that hunt for that Champions League, or maybe more likely the Europa League for them. But I mean, Danny Ings was isolating with COVID. He's missed a few games recently through injury, once or twice this season. Southampton are struggling for goals. I mean, they failed to score in 4 of their last 5 games, and that is as many as they had done in their previous 34 games before that. So quite a sharp drop off. And if you look back at their sort of Premier League games this season, their first 12 games this season saw an average of 41 goals scored, an average of 3.4 a game. And in their last 6, it's only been 6 goals, and they've only scored 2 of them. So do you think Hasenhüttl will be a bit worried about this, about the lack of scoring?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know what Southampton's aims at the start of the season would have been, to be fair. I guess sort of try and finish top 10. Do you think that would be their aim?
Yeah, I think so. And I think maybe, it's very easy to get ahead of yourself with everything that's going on, not just with Southampton, but with Aston Villa as well. I know they've got 3 games in hand, so if they win all of those, they're sort of right back up at the top again. But maybe we are just seeing Southampton kind of petering out a little bit and perhaps falling back into line where they should be in the pecking order of the Premier League.
Yeah.
And they've got tough games coming up as well. They've got Arsenal, Villa and Manchester United next, all of which are in good form at the moment. So it'll be quite interesting to see how they do. For Leicester, just quickly, do you seriously think that they could make that top 4 and maybe keep one of the bigger sides out?
Top 4, yeah, I think I can see them challenging for top 4, but not the title.
No, I agree. Do you think if Leicester were to make the top 4? I mean, we're assuming here that Liverpool and Man City will be fighting for that top. Do you think that it's likely to be Chelsea and Spurs that might miss out if Leicester do break in?
Yeah, I would pick those 2 teams.
Okay. I wonder why. Right, let's move on. Let's talk about Wolves against West Brom. We'll talk about this one briefly, and then we'll just finish off with some chat about Man City. Huge win for the Baggies. Black Country Derby. First win for Big Sam.
Yes, yeah. Big Sam.
Still conceded 2 goals along the way, but obviously a massive 3 points for them. They're still 5 points from safety. But, this is massive for them. I mean, many positives from the take. They had some really good individual performances. I know Ajayi was very good. Pereira was also good. But new signing, Robert Snodgrass, settling in well. A low-key signing, but seems like he could be an important one for them.
Yeah, I think it's just that experience, isn't it? The Premier League experience that Snodgrass brings. First game, first win. So obviously done something right.
Yeah. 2 penalties ultimately helped West Brom on their way. Obviously, we've talked about the slight controversy about one of them. And I don't think there's any question that both of them were fouls. It's just whether that first one was outside the box or not. But obviously they did go 2-1 down after they went 1-0 up. It would have been extremely easy for them, a little bit like Sheffield United, to kind of sort of fall apart, a heads drop, but they dug in, didn't they? I mean, that's probably what will please Sam the most, is that sort of never say die attitude.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that's what a Sam Allardyce team sort of brings, isn't it, really?
Yeah, and up next for them, we've got the Sam Allardyce derby. So it's West Ham against West Brom on tomorrow, actually Tuesday, and then they play City before they have two massive games against Fulham and Sheffield United. So if Sam can get points from certainly the latter two, Fulham and Sheffield United, and get 6 points from those two games. I mean, I've actually got on our notes here, I've actually got a picture of the bottom part of the table from sort of Wolves down, but I guess you could probably include Leeds and Crystal Palace in this. Certainly Palace anyway. The amount of games that some of these teams have got in hand, there's every chance, that if West Brom start picking up some wins, if Fulham and Burnley maybe win at least one of their games in hand, Newcastle and Wolves, in particular Newcastle, they're looking over their shoulders right now.
Yeah, and I mean, like you say, even Wolves at the moment, they're playing really badly.
Yeah, they are. I mean, they're actually they've got the joint worst form in the entire league, along with Newcastle, who, as we said, they're in big danger of being pulled into this relegation battle themselves. Do you think that for the moment anyway, that Wolves are probably just, they're far enough away to not worry about this too much, or do you think that there is a slight concern that might begin to creep in?
No, I think there's a concern. Obviously, they lost Jota at the beginning of the season, and they've lost Jimenez now, and they've got an 18-year-old that's never played in the Premier League before leading their line. So
yeah, it's. I don't know. I mean, I was thinking about this, and I put it in the notes as well. I mean, there's no date for Jimenez that I've seen anyway of his return. I mean, we know it was a massively serious injury to Jimenez, so obviously they will definitely be taking their time with his return. They're clearly missing him up front, not just for his scoring, but his all-round ability and hold-up play. But do you think that is all they need? Is that literally the missing link, or are they lacking in other areas as well?
I think that's the main area I would focus on. They're missing those goals. Yeah, I couldn't really think of anywhere in particular to pinpoint area-wise that they need to build on. But I mean, I would say striker first and foremost.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just looking at their results. I mean, they scored 2 against West Brom. They scored against Everton. They scored in the FA Cup. They scored 3 against Brighton. So it's not like they're not scoring goals. So do they need to have a look at their defence as well? I mean, they lost Matt Doherty in the summer to Spurs. I haven't looked at their exact lineup over the past few games, but I know that, as far as I know, their defensive line is fairly solid. I don't think they've got any injuries. I mean, I know it was Cody and Bolly at central defence, and they had Seiss and Semedo in there as well.
Yeah, so quite a good, strong defensive lineup. So I don't know. Maybe it's midfield.
Yeah, I mean, Moutinho's not getting any younger. Dendoncker, I don't know if he's the player that everyone thought he was going to be when they brought him in. And obviously Ruben Neves is a fantastic player, but not a particularly defensive-minded player, I don't think. So, I don't know. Again, it might just be a little blip for them, but I think I'd be amazed if they don't bring in at least one player in January.
Do you think? I don't think they will.
You don't think they're going to sign anyone?
I don't think so, no.
You don't think they might be tempted to loan a player in, someone like Divock Origi?
Potentially a loan signing, but I don't see them signing anyone permanently.
Interesting. Okay, well, I guess we'll see. But, if results keep going the way they are, then, yeah, I mean, I suppose one thing to say is that this is very good news for Fulham, Burnley and West Brom, because as they start to pick up more points, if those teams above them don't, it's almost like a safety in numbers, isn't it? You've not now got to be better than only 2 teams. You've got 6 teams all vying for it. So perhaps it's a bit easier if you just pick up some points, knowing that at least one of those teams is going to be worse. Yeah,
definitely.
So, right, let's talk then. Last game, we're going to talk about Man City Palace. Big performance from City. The resurgence continues, and now they seem to be the team to beat, would you say?
Unfortunately, yes.
Well, yeah, they're second in the league and they've got a game in hand, haven't they?
Yeah, I mean, they're keeping a lot of clean sheets and that at the moment as well.
Yeah, as you say, second in the league, 2 points behind with a game in hand. I mean, we obviously spoke in not too great terms about Man City earlier in the season when they started quite slowly. But, how impressive have you guys been with how they've bounced back? I mean, they're just beginning to look like the City of old, aren't they?
They look beautiful again. They're flashing.
Yeah, they've obviously found a way of coping without the likes of Jesus and Aguero, which we sort of pinpointed as their weakness before.
Yeah.
They've got John Stones. Who needs Aguero when you got John Stones?
Exactly. I mean, there were 4 amazing goals in this game, but let's talk about resurgences and John Stones. I mean, he's looking like a world beater right now.
I love him.
Yeah, funny he'd never scored a Premier League goal for City before, and then he scores 2 in one game.
Yeah, it was 3 and 3 now for him. And you say that you love him, Fran. I think my girlfriend also loves him. I wonder why that is. Because certainly not for his footballing ability, I can tell you that. So, but no, it's amazing. Him and Ruben Diaz have started together now in 10 games for Manchester City in all competitions this season. They've only conceded 1 goal in those 10 fixtures and they've won 9 and drawn 1. It's an incredible record for somebody who was seemingly like frozen out of the team.
Surely he's back in the England squad.
Well, yeah, I mean, I don't know how to word it, but COVID's kind of helped him England-wise, hasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, who knows what the resurgence is down to? Is it, purely just that Guardiola timed it right and maybe he's worked with John Stones behind the scenes, maybe the little break away from the spotlight has done him good, who knows? But I mean, whatever he's done, John Stones has come back to be the player that City bought from Everton and thought that he would become at the moment. He's looking fantastic. So good on him. And for every good goal, talking about John Stones' first, there's often a good pass. Should we just take a moment to appreciate that pass from Kevin De Bruyne for that first goal?
Yeah, outside of the foot.
Unreal.
I mean, it's the one touch to control and just I can't tell you how amazing I was or how amazed I was when I saw that, because not only was it outside of the foot, he actually bent it between 2 players that were closing him down. It was, absolutely astonishing. And he's now assisted 100 goals in all competitions for Man City, which is 31 more than any other Premier League player since making his debut for the club. So, quite the record. And then elsewhere in the team, Ilkay Gundogan scoring a wonderful curling effort from outside the box. I mean, just
goals for them now.
Yeah, he is. I mean, again, another player that we questioned about whether or not he was, the long-term player that City needed in that midfield. But he's, again, beginning to prove us wrong. Stones then reacted like a striker to smash home a third, and then Sterling with a beautiful free kick, which reminded me very much of Dimitri Payet's goal it was also against Palace as well, actually, several years ago, where he sort of like got this ridiculous dip on the ball and went the other side of where the keeper was standing. Or the same side to where the keeper was standing. So, yeah, amazing stuff. I mean, do we think they're firm favourites right now with how Liverpool are playing?
Yeah, I mean, they were my pre-season favourites, and they had a bit of a blip, but I mean, they look like the team to beat at the moment, don't they?
Yes.
Yeah. Let's talk Palace. Hodgson's contract is up in the summer. I've actually spoken to a couple of Palace fans that I know who are both very much of the opinion that Roy Hodgson should probably move on at the end of the season. I mean, on current form, there probably won't be too many Palace fans who think differently, I think. Would you agree?
Yeah, he's a very safe manager. But
what did you say about him earlier? We were watching Match of the Day.
I think I said he was very boring.
Dan wasn't even watching it. And he was like, gosh, just a very boring guy, isn't he?
Yeah, we're not here to assassinate someone's character, Dan. Let's just talk about his footballing ability. But no, I agree with you. I think he is a safe appointment, but I don't think Palace are likely to progress, particularly under him with how things are going, certainly.
Yeah.
Just depends what they want to do, because they tried to enforce a new style of play, and they went down that route, and then they lost their first 6 games in a row, and they sacked their manager, didn't they?
Yeah, I mean, that experiment with Frank de Boer will, I think they would prefer if that was written off from history altogether, frankly. But I don't think, I mean, with the players they've got, on the assumption they keep Zaha, and we'll talk about him very briefly in a second, do you think that they've got a squad capable of playing a different brand of football, or do you think that the style they're doing right now is what is best suited for that group of players?
Yeah, it's difficult because when you have managers, they obviously bring in players that suit their style of play. So then if you go and bring in a completely different manager with a different style of play, you've then got all these players that just don't really suit it. It can take quite a while to then get the players in that suit that new manager's style of play. So it's something that needs to be done slowly, and you can't expect it to, happen within one window.
Yeah. If I was Crystal Palace's owners right now, I would be talking very closely to someone like Eddie Howe.
Yeah. I mean, it's a club in London, so they're going to attract players just for the fact that they're in London.
I mean, you look at their attacking lineup, and they got some great players. I mean, Benteke's found a little bit of form this year to suggest that there might still be a player in there somewhere. Obviously, it's still got Zaha, assuming he stays. Townsend can do a job. He's not the player he was, but he still can be a threat. They've got Eze, who's looked really good so far this season. So they've got some good attacking players. So I wonder if somebody like Eddie Howe, who's a bit more expansive, a bit more open, can get them playing, because defensively they're usually reasonably difficult to beat. They're usually fairly tight. So yeah, I don't know. I think Palace could aim higher. I really do. I think they've got a decent squad with 1 or 2 additions. I think they could be a bit higher up the table.
Yeah, I agree. I think they could aim a lot higher.
So, yeah, I mean, obviously they've only won 1 in their last 6 games. And in fact, if you go back a little bit further, it's only 2 wins since the start of December. And if you take out that win at the start of December, which was the 5-1 thrashing of West Brom, since then they've only scored 5 goals in 8 games and accumulating just 4 points. So, yeah, something's going to need to change. So I wonder if this continues, whether Roy Hodgson will actually make it to the end of the season.
Yeah, I think he'll make it to the end of the season, but I kind of hope for Palace's sake that they do sort of let him move on.
Yeah, I suspect if he is let go, I think Roy Hodgson will probably retire. I don't see another club wanting him. I know that sounds harsh, but it feels like he's done his duty, and he's been a very good manager. He's got an amazing record at 1 or 2 of the clubs he's been at. So just sort of like, time to hang up the whistle, so to speak.
Yeah.
So right, we were going to talk about Zaha, but let's leave that for another time, because it's only really a subject that we probably already covered before about whether he stays or goes. So let's move on then to the final parts of the show. Let's talk our team of the week. I honestly can't remember who went first last time, so I'll do the honours this week.
Yep.
I have gone for Alisson in goal. Thought he had a great weekend, and despite the game lacking in quality, had it not been for him, then United may well have stolen the 3 points. I've gone for Stones. Actually, I changed my team. I should be looking at this one. So I've gone for Stones, Shaw, both of which had fantastic games at weekend. And Stones, as we talked about, had this amazing resurgence of form. Controversially and unsurprisingly, I suppose, I have thrown a couple of West Ham players in there. I've gone for Craig Dawson and Ogbonna, both of our centre-backs, who between them have now kept 4 clean sheets in all competitions. Ogbonna has been incredibly consistent this season, and Craig Dawson is a player that Watford fans, I think, were laughing at us. So if Joe Tobias is listening, I think he would have been laughing at us when we signed him. He's only on loan, and he came into the side primarily because of COVID and a little bit of rotation. And he's just been brilliant. He's not put a foot wrong. And I think that when Balbuena comes back from his COVID isolation, I don't think he's getting back in the team. I think Dawson's going to keep him out. So good on him for that. I've gone for Ndombele, De Bruyne, Pereira and Thielemans in midfield, and Kane and Sterling up front.
Yeah.
Daniel?
So I was torn between Schmeichel or Alisson in goal, but I've picked a couple of Leicester players, so I decided to go for Alisson. But both had good games. I went for Justin from Leicester at right back, as it's another clean sheet. And Justin's, I mean, he only sort of got into the team because Sayuncu was injured, but he's been solid at the back for Leicester. I went for a J for West Brom. Stones, obviously, 2 goals for him. Luke Shaw had a really good game for United and was probably our man of the match. And then in midfield, I've gone for De Bruyne, Pereira, and Ndombele, which is pretty much the same as you, for, I imagine, the same sort of reasons. And then up the sort of forward positions, I went for Robert Snodgrass. I think his first game for West Brom, and they got a sort of unlikely win against Wolves, so I thought he deserved to be in the team. And I went for Barnes, who you know I'm a fan of. Another good game for him and a nice goal. And then Harry Kane up front.
Because we're all a fan of Harry Kane.
Excellent. Right, we will get those out on social media over the next day or two. Let us know what you think in the comments when you see them. Right, don't just rip me to pieces, because I know you're going to. But
Yeah,
do tell us what your teams would be. So get involved on social media. Right, last 2 things to end the show. Let's start with this one first. Down the stat, man.
Go on then.
So across the 92 teams, top 4 leagues, only 2 teams are yet to be beaten away from home. Can you tell me who they are? One is still a Premier League team, and one used to be a Premier League team.
In Premier League, I'm going to say, I think it's Villa.
Okay.
It's either Villa or Manchester United, I think, from an away point of view. Used to be a Premier League team. No idea. I'll guess Bournemouth.
It's Manchester United and Sunderland.
Sunderland, eh? Forgot they even still existed. Right. Okay. Thank you for that one. We'll have a new stat, of course, next week. And now, is the comeback still on? Is it going to happen?
I'm in trouble. No.
Hello, and welcome back to Football with Fran. Dan, what were you going to say?
I was going to say I'm in trouble if he wins this one.
Yeah, you are. 9-7. Is that what we're at?
9-7, yeah.
So excited.
Oh, I thought we doshed you. You hadn't spoken.
No, I'm in the zone.
Google
actually,
in the background.
Actually, what I'm trying to do is find a pen just in case I need one.
Aubameyang's just scored as well.
It shows you how bad Newcastle are if they let Aubameyang score.
Okay, so I've just got 6 questions this week. So, Chris, I'll let you know when Dan's written his answer down, and then you can say.
Okay. All right. I've got a pen and paper ready because I'm taking it seriously.
What was the previous name of the club before becoming West Ham United?
Oh, for God's sake.
I love that from you. Absolutely love that from you. It was absolutely, I'm going to say that there's no chance Dan knows this. I'm just hoping that this answer I've got is the correct one.
Yeah, no, Dan's nothing.
No.
Okay, what is it?
I'm going to call
Right, come
on. Just West Ham, no United.
Incorrect, Chris.
I think I'm gonna kick myself if I get this wrong, but I think it's Thames Valley Ironworks.
Yes, although I haven't got a valley in it, but I will take your answer.
Okay. I maybe the valley isn't involved in it, but I'm pretty sure it's Thames Valley Ironworks. Let me
Thames Ironworks.
Thames Ironworks.
I would never have got that in a million years.
No, well, nor would I. Although I don't get any of these questions, so
no, you're right. It is only Thames Ironworks, but I'm still having the point. Fuck you, Dan.
You can have half a point.
Right. Let's continue. I'll say who gets what points. Who began the 2014 to 2015 season as manager of West Ham?
Oh, for God's sake.
I can see how this quiz is going. I love it. Oh, man, I've got to get this right. Hang on. Work out. Calm down, Welch.
Yeah.
2014, 2015.
Yeah. What was it? Manager. He's.
Hold on, I'm doing some very
You got an answer.
precise calculations here. I think I've got an answer, yes. I'm sort of trying to sort of half work it back.
Any ideas? Right, Dan, have you got a name?
Yeah.
Chris?
Yeah, it's one of two. I might have to take a bit of a stab here.
Oh, go on then.
I'm going to go Sam Allardyce.
Yeah, I've gone for Sam Allardyce as well.
You are both correct. Sam Allardyce.
It was either him or Slaven Bilic. I can't remember which one.
And then next one. In which year did the club adopt the name West Ham United?
Is this nearest or do we have to get it bang on?
Nearest. Whoever gets nearest.
I can give you the nearest century.
Is it? I think it's on the. Used to be on our badge. I don't know. I don't think it's still on the badge anymore, and they've changed it. I've got an answer though.
Go on then, Chris.
1887.
Right. Yeah.
I've gone 1864.
64. And what did Chris say?
87.
Chris, it wins it. It's 1900.
Nice.
Oh, okay. A little bit later than I thought it was.
All right, there's Stroppy Sue. Right, next question. Prior to wearing number 7, David Beckham wore which number at Manchester United?
Ooh. I'm not sure.
This has genuinely been my favourite quiz so far.
I hate this. Well, I've got to guess Sam Allardyce.
Chris, have you got an answer?
I have.
Dan?
Yeah.
Right, go on then, Chris.
23.
Is that a guess or do you know?
It's an educated guess because I know he used that number in teams afterwards. So I thought maybe it was harkening back to his first shirt number for United.
I have literally no idea, so I've just gone for 11.
Oh, you're both one off. So it was either number 10 or 24. How funny. Which player took the number 7 jersey after Cristiano Ronaldo left? Obviously for Man United, sorry.
I think I know, but I'm probably wrong.
Chris, do you know?
No. I'm going to take a guess, but I don't. This is it's a total guess.
Answer, so feel free to guess.
Okay, I've gone for Nani.
I don't even know who that is.
Nani, yeah, he's good.
Well, it's not the right answer, obviously, if you don't know who it is.
It's not the right answer, no, Chris, you're wrong.
I think it's someone who's best known for his amazing quotes, Michael Owen.
Yeah, you're right. It's Michael Owen.
Very, very good. Comes down to the last question.
Are we tied, are we?
No, it's 3-2 to Chris.
Oh, God. Oh, yeah, because he got all this West Ham question.
As of 2020, Manchester United hold the record for the most league titles in England. How many times have they been champions?
Is this league or is this Premier League?
League.
Okay. And the question was, how many times have they won it?
How many times have they been champions?
I hope you don't know, because I do.
You actually know this?
Yeah, I know
he does. He's literally written an answer down straight away. I don't know if it's the right one. I haven't seen, but
I know it is.
He was very confident when I said the question.
I'm guessing 24.
Oh, yes.
Oh,
It's
Dan.
20.
It's 20, yeah.
Liverpool on 19 now.
Right.
Wow.
Break. So we're going back to a question from last week.
That's a very disappointing second half of that quiz, just saying, Fran. You started off so well.
You got all the West Ham ones. I luckily got all the United ones.
So I asked you which player has won the FA Cup the most times, and it was Ashley Cole. I want to know how many FA Cup winners' medals he has.
Oh.
Obviously, nearest guess wins. Annoying if you both guess the same, so now another question.
Oh, I'm so nervous.
I don't know whether to go.
This is the best quiz so far. It's funny how cocky you've both been about your actual teams.
It's suddenly got really serious now.
I don't know whether to go with what I think it is, or maybe go slightly higher because I'm not sure it is.
I love your thinking there, Dan. You said that you got it really nailed down.
Right, come on. 5, 4,
right.
3, 2,
right,
Daniel, 1. Okay, right. Chris?
I'm going to go with 6.
I've gone for 6 as well.
Oh, you're both wrong. Oh, man.
I was going to guess 5. How much was it?
God, I hate you both.
How much was it?
7. 3.
No, I didn't say 5.
3 with Arsenal, 4 with Chelsea. Right, well, give me a minute. That was my bloody card.
I need some like holding music. Should I just sing?
You do need some.
Do, 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 do.
Okay. Tottenham are 5th in all-time Premier League club stats for wins. How many wins do you think they've had? Closest question wins.
You say Premier League?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's
I mean,
it.
it's just going to be a guess.
Well, yeah. I wouldn't expect you to know.
Saka's scored again.
Oh, yeah.
He's a good player. He'll be in England soon. I don't even know where to hazard again.
5,
Oh, okay.
4, 3,
Taking no prisoners.
2, 1. Right, Chris?
I've gone for 450.
Dan?
Yeah, I've gone very low. I've gone 320.
Oh, Chris, you smashed it. 471.
I wouldn't
Get
even know
in.
where.
Comeback trail continues. Yeah, we're having one of these.
Well done. Woo-hoo.
Game on.
Yeah, smashed it.
Right. Well, what a way to end the show. 9-8. Who'd have thought that after, 9-5 or whatever it was, that I'd still be in it and we'd be heading towards February and the quiz would still be going on. Right. Well, thank you very much, everybody, for listening. We will see you all next week. Stay safe. Have fun. Dan and Fran, thank you for joining once again.
Thanks.
Yep.
Bye-bye.
See you later, everybody.
Bye.